members, so I'm going to call a meeting to order for the Golf Course Committee for February the 2nd. And let the record show, Miley, that everybody's in attendance for the committee members. And I'm entertaining a motion to approve the meeting.
Make a motion.
Okay, Nick, for a motion to approve the minutes for November the 3rd. Nick Azzolini has motioned. We have a second. Okay, Mandy is seconding. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Oral communications. Ryan?
Yeah.
You want to get up?
Yeah.
Give us a what for?
So I know I have 3 minutes before that officially starts. This is an issue you guys have dealt with a million times, so I figured I could do this. Jordan's the only guy here I've met before, but I could do this in an open conversation if you guys do that, or I can read my 3-minute spiel that's full of a lot of bullshit fired.
Who are you?
Whatever you.
I'm a resident. I live on.
Ryan Clancy.
Yeah, my name's Ryan Clancy. I live off the 5th hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just because we don't want to violate the Brown Act, you will hear from him for 3 minutes. If the committee wants to speak on the matter, it's advised that you don't, because we don't want to
No.
respond to public comments.
We will listen.
But you are welcome to schedule time with him afterwards outside of this committee meeting.
I'm okay with that. Thank you. So again, my name's Ryan Clancy, resident homeowner, Southeast San Clemente, Trestles community since 2021, kind of new. But I grew up in San Clemente, family moved here in the 90s. San Clemente High School graduate, I'm a local real estate broker. I bought a home at 135 Avenida San Fernando that faces the 5th hole southwest side of the golf course. You guys know this stuff. I'm here on behalf of quite a few of my neighbors, as well as my wife, my 21-month-old son, and 5 children under the age of 5 that live on Avenida San Luis Rey. And all the people who enjoy recreational access to this area along the 5th hole, including very heavy pedestrian traffic, bikers, walkers, elderly, moms, babies, etc., kids. During my short residency since 2021, I have collected in excess of 100 golf balls on my personal property. That would be all sides of my home, front, back, side yards. I've had 1 broken house window, 1 broken car windshield. I've had 1 broken golf cart windshield, multiple dinged garage door, which is a brand new garage door. All with no follow-up from a golfer apology or any accountability. Balls commonly land as 5 to 10 homes down the streets of Buenaventura, San Fernando, San Dimas, and Dominguez. I have friends and neighbors on all these streets. I've spoken with all these people. I've personally seen cars and people hit by balls in my short tenure here. One neighbor who has lived here for some time describes his car as peppered by ball marks. My own home is peppered in spots exceeding 20 plus damaged areas. I can't park in front of my house, in my own driveway, or my side yard. I know from the short research that pursuing the golf course for damage to my home or pursuing the city and the lake is a lost cause. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to get my house fixed. I'm not here to get my car fixed. I'm here today to discuss the real and ongoing threat to human life and personal and real property that is a liability that the city should be aware of and should mitigate so a future worse issue does not occur. My hope is to reduce the liability for everyone, including golfers, the city, homeowners, pedestrians, etc., car drivers, bikers. It's a very busy area by people going to and from San Luis Rey Park, the State Park Trail System, which accesses there, as you know, Concordia Elementary, which is accessed on my neighbor street, and Trestles. That all connects to San Luis Rey in the 5th hole. I know that today's committee agenda is addressing the many lost trees from our last storm. One of these trees was one in the direct eyesight of my home and my neighbors of the 5th hole. My neighborhood and its visitors desperately need a long-term solution to this exposure. My child cannot walk, play, or learn to ride his bike in front or in my backyard. We don't feel safe in our own front and backyards. We feel the cost to mitigate this risk with netting, hedging, more trees, signage, etc. is far less than the cost of seriously bodily harm, death, or being struck by a golf ball, which often travel at over 130 miles per hour, as you guys know, or a possible car accident, bike accident, or otherwise. My family and I love this community. I love living on the golf course. We want to save a reasonable resolution for all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Oh.
We got any old business? How about the new business? How about a review of future golf course improvement projects? Everybody was given a copy, I hope everybody had a chance to read it.
Yeah, so I got a couple. Oh, I'm mic'd up now.
You are.
So yeah, the list is on page 4, is this? So, as you know, every winter, if you play there, the 9-caller is super saturated, and so they'd approach, so we're looking to install some drainage there, this year. You know, usually they're fine throughout the summer, but whenever we deep water or, you know, get heavy rains, they get wet and they just stay saturated, so, you know, it's hard for us to place a pin near those locations, so we're looking to increase the drainage there, just to get the water to run out of there and to make those areas more playable. And then, yeah, the big one is replacing trees that fell from January 23rd. We also, on the number 9 green, want to reconstruct that wood fence there, just to improve the quality of the turf from people walking off. You know, we're gonna put like something a little more reinforced, so there's 5 spots for people to walk through, and then we'll corral them. And we'll rope the walk-off areas off. New forward tee, new silver tee on number 6. I want to look at 15 cart path, that extension that goes down, so there's better access to the fairway. I'll look at improving that. Also, a new rough mower as well. I think that'll be very beneficial for our productivity and the quality of the turf. We're constantly fixing our rough unit, which our mechanic spends a lot of time fixing them, so we want to just make it a little more productive for our team. And also the quality cut will be improved, and bathroom placement on 5. Is that name?
Is that the golf course's responsibility? the
Yeah, so
bathroom?
that, the whole 5 restroom is shared with San Luis Red Park. So this would be funded through CIP, and it would be a shared cost with our, basically the general fund CIP program and the golf course fund, so it would be a split.
Jordan, can I ask a question on the 15 cart path?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be, because you know you've got the path that goes down, would you be creating a path as well alongside up to the tee box, up to the green? Or just people would come down and then come back up? They'd
Yeah,
tee off and come back up?
my thoughts were like creating kind of a roundabout so
Mm.
that people could access that, and then
Come back up to the path.
potentially think about moving the silver tees down there. But for right now, we just want to kind of create like kind of a roundabout, but also have a fence around it so that people can't drive along that slope as well.
Mm.
Yeah, because that'd be a liability if they're gonna.
Yeah, we don't
Crosswalk.
want to create access to the fairway, but we want to make it more accessible, so you can drive down with a little like kind of U-turn,
Mhm.
come back up.
So you can
Fence
go back
posts
down around the
it.
back of the 16th tee box and back up in that way, you're talking, or are you?
No, I'm talking about, so, when you're at the tee box, you come around all the brush.
Yep.
You'll notice that the cart path, it's roped, we have an area roped off just
Yeah.
for our maintenance vehicles. There's
Yeah.
that cart path that extends
Gotcha.
down. I'm
Okay.
just talking about kind of cutting that brush back, creating some kind of U-turn that's fenced off so that we just have better access for that.
Okay.
'Cause even for myself, sometimes it's pretty steep.
Your new rough mower, have you got quotes for that? Is it on order?
Yeah, we got quotes. We still have a few things we have to pay for, like the irrigation software, the spray unit. I still haven't got a bill for that. So once that gets cleared up, we'll see what's left over, and then we might be able to get a new rough unit that we attach to a tractor to pull behind. But you know, for the next year 23-24, you know, I'd like to see us get more, you know, kind of state-of-the-art, up-to-date rough unit that is hydraulic powered, not belt-driven, like through a PTO.
Yeah.
Because those belts can't handle our grass. It's the rough is just too thick.
Okay, and you have, knowing that how long these things take to get,
Yeah.
you have like a good idea where you go and get it and all that stuff? Have you Have we done that research, or are we still, is it still just,
Yeah, but like once it's like, I don't get a timeline until it's actually, like I can phone and just be like, how far
What's
out are
the-
we? And it's usually 10 months, but 10 months can turn into 18 months as
yeah.
I've realized. And then they give you a different quote once it's all ready for you.
For this budget consideration, do we have to, or should we be putting these in order of importance? Or are they in order of importance?
Yeah, I guess they're not really in order of importance, I would say. Trees are probably number one right now that we gotta address, and yeah, we can kinda go from there. But yeah, they're not in any particular order.
Where's the new Ford T-Box for on Sixth? Where's that gonna be?
Probably, where it is now, but off to the left, like closest to homes, is my thought.
It's gonna be a little elevation or something like that?
Yeah, like what we did on 12, we just completed that T-box, it'll be the same idea. Like, so it's the same yardage, but just kind of off the side a little bit.
Jordan, if we get some kind of a deal on the trees, I'd like to see some more put in along number 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a list of some trees that would be beneficial for sure and would fit our our theme. We have some full-grown teepoo trees, and I'd recommend putting those in. Where we lost those eucalyptus trees,
Mhm.
so I think 2 full-grown teepoo trees would look good, and also you know, kind of protect the neighborhood as well from catching golf balls.
I'm sorry, what do they call you? T-bow?
Teepoo.
T as in Tom?
I got TIPU.
Any other comments on the improvements? Jordan, you want to go over the quarterly report then?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to, sorry, not to backtrack, but we need some kind of action on this item, even if it's a receive and file, for the golf course improvement projects. I guess if you are okay with this direction, staff will move forward and work with finance to fund these projects wherever possible, knowing that trees are our #1 priority, and we typically are wanting to also replace a piece of equipment as well, that would be that rough mower. And if there's any additional funding, really, the CIP project and program, we kicked it off, and the goal is to get the committee's feedback on priority projects based on Jordan's recommendation, and then we will work with finance to figure out what's feasible within the capital improvement program budget as it exists.
I personally, I see it down at the bottom of the bathroom replacement on number 5, should be more of a city project than the golf course project, in that we have a restroom on the next hole. That's basically was for the park, and, oh yeah, if you want to go in there as a golfer, but most of the golfers wait and go when they break at the clubhouse. So,
Unless you're over 70 and you have to go.
well, I'm entertaining a motion then that we get this underway.
Well, let's take them one at a time then. Is #1, does this have to be done right away? Or you wanna get it done this next year, is that what you're saying, George, or does it need to be done right away?
We're talking about the bathroom still?
No, we're talking about #1.
Drainage.
Item #1.
Item 1.
Item
What's in
one.
order?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be right away, it's just something that needs to be addressed, that I want you, the
Okay.
committee to be aware of, that it's a problem that is reoccurring, and it leaves
Okay,
the golf course unplayable in those areas right next to the green for 4 to 5 months, I would say.
okay, so #2, replace the trees, we're gonna talk about that. #3, construct the wood fence, is that a big deal, or how much of a big deal is that? You do it
I'd say
in-house?
medium.
Is you do it in-house?
Yeah, we'll do that in-house.
Are you gonna use the existing wood that's there, or?
No, well,
New,
same wood, we have a bunch of wood stockpiled, so, We're just gonna attack it differently and put cement and bolt it in. Make it so like if a cart hits it, it's gonna damage the cart, not, not the fence.
So that seems like a low cost
Yeah,
project.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like,
it doesn't require a lot of work either, I don't think, does it? I mean, you're doing it a few days?
Yeah, it'll be a full day work of our crew.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I think.
that's some ongoing.
Yeah, okay, and then, the Ford T's, yes and no, you can wait on that too, can't you?
Yeah, we can do that kind of next winter. That's kind of the idea, is just to bite one forward tee off every winter.
Right.
It
The
seems to
cart
not exhaust
path,
our crew.
Okay, number 5, the car path, we live without it, but it's a good idea, I'm for it.
Yeah.
And going to the Roughmore, next one, I think you should do it right away. I think if there's a Kentucky windage and ordering it to get it, I think you should order it.
Alright.
We have plenty of money in the capital reserve.
And all the rough.
And the bathroom replacement, I would let the city lead it on that. If they charge, they're gonna charge anyway, so we can argue about it, but don't you think, Samantha, you at the city will actually engineer that and do that? And that's
Yeah.
and that's gonna be a major project. Are you gonna tear it down and redo it?
No, yeah, it'll be torn down. What we're doing now in park restrooms and public restrooms is prefab, but they do have to be the Spanish colonial style.
Yeah.
So the best example is the Vista Bahia restroom, if you guys are familiar with that, by the ball field. They look really nice, but they are prefab, significantly less cost. They are still $600,000 though.
As I
but
say,
cheaper than
600,000, we get
yeah,
charged
just doesn't seem,
300,000.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be a 50%
Yeah.
cost share.
Well, I don't think we have any choice, I think you have to do it, but I'd wait for you guys in the city to say, hey, we're gonna do it next year or the year after, whatever, and we just have to chip in.
Sure.
I don't think we have a choice. So I think the two things we need to talk about are trees, and you order them more,
Alright.
and do the fences. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to railroad this thing, but I did.
To me, these are all part of a maintenance program for the golf course, and it's like saying, we need to decide whether we mow the greens and fairways this week. That should be up to you, unless it's way out of proportion cost-wise, before it comes to us. This is, we can see just has to be done, you know?
Right.
The first drainage projects and stuff. I think you're more than capable of taking care of all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of an update of what we
Yeah.
wanna
Yeah.
do
Good
looking
stuff.
forward. Yeah.
So Samantha, so it sounds like we're saying item number 2 and item number 6 are the two things we're recommending we go forward with as soon as possible. The other items are per Jordan with
Right.
maintenance.
Yeah.
And then the bathrooms, let the city direct us for that.
Yeah, that's helpful. The trees, that's gonna be a big ticket item for us. And Jordan and I have discussed, though, there is a need to really retool and bolster up our tree maintenance funding in general. It's been slashed year to year over the last 5 to 10 years. It needs to be bumped up just for ongoing maintenance, and that's really kind of what you're seeing here are those. It's just deferred maintenance at this point, we need to tackle it. So we'll be asking for more money in our operating budget that will help Jordan and his crew execute these.
In order to get away from some of these future tree problems, the thinning out, like Rod's did on number 7 to the right, it probably saved those trees from going over.
Yeah, you
Because they
can,
thinned those out a lot. Now, there's ones on 8 on the right side of the green and behind. I would park there watching some play a couple days ago, and I said, what am I doing? And I had to move out of the range of that one coming down, because it's really top-heavy.
Mhm.
A lot of branches on that, so if we could get,
yeah, you can tell all the ones that have been trimmed in the last couple of years are perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So they just become huge sales, especially the
Yeah.
eucalyptus tree. They don't have the strongest root system, so it's just, pardon my pun, but the perfect storm, you know? When the ground is soft and the wind blows.
I'm thinking we could save money from buying new trees if we just take care of the ones we got. Like
Yeah, absolutely. That was always my goal that I've been harping on
Yeah, and at what point in
since
time,
I got here in 2016, so.
and at what point in time do they become a liability because we've been fortunate that and we'll talk more, they've fallen in the course. If you fall into one of the buildings or through a home,
Right.
that's another story.
Yeah.
It's a lot of liability for the city, and so it's a risk mitigation.
Yep.
Clear on that?
So do you still need something from us?
Yeah, I just need a motion and a second, basically based on what Dick has said, we will
Make a motion.
reiterate that into the minutes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we, the agenda report for the golf course improvement projects issued by Jordan, that we move on number 2 and number 3 and number 6. And the rest we put on standby or hold for the time being.
You have a second?
Well, can I just change that?
Yeah, do.
Rather than say we put it on standby, we leave it for Jordan to prioritise as he goes.
Yeah, and schedule as
And
available.
schedule as
Sure.
available.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
that's better. It's not, we don't want to pause it, but.
Okay, need a second.
I second.
Yeah.
All in
As
favor?
amended.
As-
Aye.
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 Yes. Okay. Now, Jordan, take a look at quarterly report.
Yeah, so just looking at the numbers, we're still up 1%, so
Mhm.
I don't know how we can keep getting more busier, but we are.
And when does the price increase go into play, Samantha?
That's a great question. So council is going to be reviewing that item this coming Tuesday, and then it would basically take effect 30 days, so it would just be around March 1st.
Right around the first of March. huh?
I guess the appropriate question at this point is, are we raising it enough?
We'll find out.
It's a fair question.
Do we want to amend our proposal for raising rates?
It's a little late now, because the
Late.
council agenda is already published. Our plan, though, would be to review rates annually, so
Okay.
we'll do the same thing again in 6 months.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, are those rates done by the House Subcommittee?
So yes, the House Subcommittee reviews kind of comparable courses and general operating status within the existing enterprise fund, and then makes recommendations to the Golf Committee, and Golf Committee makes recommendations collectively to council.
Yeah, I was just where it started.
Yep, starts with House.
So what's the rate now for like San Juan or Shortcliffs? To play 18 holes with a cart, that anybody know compared to what we're paying?
It was more.
It's 42 to walk it,
42 to walk,
short close.
Shortcliffs.
Yeah, so it's more than us.
You'd have to pay me more than that to walk.
I think it's only $10 for a card, I think.
Okay.
Weekday.
Yeah.
Jordan, you got any reports from the golf maintenance?
Yeah, we've, obviously, everyone knows about the trees that have been down. Tree loss, so with that, there is plenty of irrigation breaks that happened when they fell over. They uprooted a lot of irrigation, so we're gonna be busy in the upcoming weeks fixing that once the trees are all cleaned up. They're not completely cleaned up yet. We weren't the only ones subject to this storm, so all the tree companies are slammed right now. So we're lucky enough to have Rod come out here first thing in the morning and help us out with that. So we're gonna have another tree company come out on the 13th and the 15th, and then it should be all taken care of. So
Jordan,
one,
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, when we put new trees in, would we put eucalyptus back or
No.
not?
eucalyptus trees are a weed. they're invasive species here, so they just grow
They grow fast.
fast is why they're planted. So no, we don't. And yeah, some tree recommendations. I don't know if you want to hear them at this point but we are planning on replacing all of the trees that fell, with the exception of maybe, is it 6T? I don't really think that tree served a purpose, and I think it was kind of crowded over there anyways. But, obviously our priorities are 5 Street. Number 1 priorities are 5 Street and the tree that fell on number 8, the eucalyptus tree. Just for playability and safety issues, safety issues for 8 and 5, and then playability for number 8 as well. So, we definitely look at getting full-size trees for those ones. And then, our second priority would be a tree behind number 4T, and then, 11 and 12 rough. And then the other trees, number 2, I think we can just plant something in-house, like an intermediate size that they can grow into, because they're not really in play, they don't really block any shots, errant shots that can cause a safety issue for the golfers.
When we were playing today, the trees that were down between 2 and 3, the folks teeing off in 3, 2 of their tee balls came into the fairway of 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected then. So that was that big pine tree that fell,
I
the
think it's
Aleppo?
on the, yeah, on the left.
Okay,
Sort of near the green of 2
okay,
on the left.
they just hooked it right
They
into the,
hooked
wow.
two different balls from the same.
So for budget on this, I think it's important the committee knows our priority is to replace every single one of these as soon as possible, when we can get that funding, certainly at July 1. And then as we look at the rest of the course, to add in any additional trees that might have fallen down in the previous couple of years to replace those trees. And hopefully that can get us kind of set on a better pathway forward with our tree program.
Are you talking about July 1st?
Yes, our fiscal year starts July 1st, so that's when funding would become available. Council typically adopts the budget at the beginning of June, the first meeting in June. It's typically at that point that staff are able to start putting out bids and procuring the resources needed to kind of get going on July 1st. Council's budget workshop is normally in May at some point, so that would be the first kind of conversation that they have around all of the budget. If there is a need, an immediate need for some of these to be replaced ahead of July 1st, Jordan and I can work with finance to either, depending on the dollar amount, to do a supplemental appropriation, and that could have to go to finance, or I'm sorry, city council, or the city manager it might be within his limit to sign off on that as well. So we'll assess it kind of based on need, unless the committee is, really wants to focus on a couple of.
Samantha, right now, we need another $20,000 just to clean up. Is that correct? We need an amended budget item for $20,000 just to clean up, never mind buying new trees.
Right, so we're going through a mid-year adjustment right now. Jordan's asking for that. We're at kind of a midpoint that we're able to ask for more funding. We can ask for the $20,000 for cleanup in our mid-year. And then depending on the tree replacement, the total dollar value, we could do it, some of it now, all of it now, or split it, again, depending on the total value of every tree being replaced.
So there is no money in this year's budget to do any trees?
What's been budgeted has been allocated, so Jordan's team did a great job early on in the year cleaning up a lot of the trees throughout the course, so this storm damage was unexpected costs, which is why we'll get that $20,000 mid-year adjustment to cover the cost. And I would be more than happy to also push for at least 50% of these trees to be replaced ahead of July 1st. Again, it does depend on the total dollar value and the path that it will take to get council approval. The city manager has a $50,000 limit. Anything beyond that does have to go to the city council.
Okay, but these are our funds and our accounts that we can't use until the city manager says we can use them, is that correct?
That's correct. It's not just funding anybody can spend.
Okay,
It
so
has to
then
be
we
budgeted
need to
and
meet with
approved.
we need to meet with a new city manager that-
I don't think the committee needs to meet with the city manager, if you can allow staff to go through the regular budget process. Again, we're in our mid-year budget, so that is staff submitting our requests and to the finance department, they will review it. And then mid-year adjustments go to the city council. We can't circumvent the budget process because it's the golf course, there still has to be the checks and balances in place, depending on the total dollar amount of the object that we're asking for.
Okay, so we're an advisory committee for the city council.
Correct.
So we're gonna make an advise to the city council that we move ahead with buying trees as soon as possible. And
Yes,
they
and
have
that's
to
in this.
amend the budget to use more of the funds that we already have in the account for capital improvements. That's what they were for, that's what the funds are for.
Right.
And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able, Jordan should be able to go order trees now as well as a new mower.
I understand that. Today you can't, because the budget that money hasn't been approved by city council to spend. We
Okay.
need city council's authorization to spend it. So if the committee tonight wants to make a recommendation to replace every single one of these trees on the list, depending on no matter what the value is and the cost is, the committee could do that tonight. And then Jordan and I will work with finance to see what the total cost is, and then we can either go the city manager route or take it to council based on the committee's recommendation.
Okay, so let's discuss among ourselves, is that okay, guys?
Yes.
So what my thought is that we know they're gonna need 20,000 for cleanup. Isn't that right, Jordan? We talked about this.
Yeah, we're getting close to that
So
number,
they're
yeah.
gonna ask for that anyway.
Right.
You need to clean it up now, you need to get that stuff off the golf course.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 20,000, and we thought we'd need 45,000 or something, 45,000 for three substantial trees. Not all the trees, but just 3 or 4 trees at first, is that correct?
Yeah, I would say it's more than that, for like full-size
Well, when we
trees.
talked about it Tuesday, you said 45,000 would be, if.
I said I have $45,000 in my budget, and
I
like
know that.
$20,000
I
in cleaning up.
thought we need an additional 40,000, we'd ask for 60,000 total. That's what we talked
That's what
about.
we have in the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
$20,000 for each tree, and we're talking about 3 trees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
we're on the
it's more
same
like
page.
80 now, so three 20s, and, because I know we had hoped that there'd be some savings, right, by doing it all
Yeah.
in one go, rather than having it.
Right.
You know, so you'll have to explore that, you guys will have to look into that. I mean, I think what we need to do is we need to be smart, right? And we need to pick the high priority ones in particular. If you go to city council and you ask for $200,000 for brand new trees,
Yeah.
they're gonna, you know,
Right.
it's probably not gonna fly. So we need to be strategic about it and make a recommendation for the ones that are impacting the play of the course the most.
And the safety.
By play, I mean, by play is
Yeah.
safety as well, and then I'm also gonna say by ones that were used to block, you know, balls going off premises
Yeah.
too. So, you know, that list, Jordan, you can probably, it's pretty obvious, I think, when there, which ones are the most
Yeah, for
important.
sure.
And rank
We'll have a
those,
better
and see
idea
where it
once we
lands
start
you,
getting
right?
quotes, you know?
You know, I mean, I don't know what, you know, 50,000 for the city manager is not gonna get very far, right? Based on additional 20 for the cleanup, and then only 30, that leaves 30 left over for new trees, that's not gonna get you very far, so.
Right.
We'll probably have to go to council with a recommendation, but I think we should be smart about our recommendation rather than just asking for the whole.
Okay, you wanna make
the
a
whole
motion, you
package.
wanna make a motion then?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we look at the tree loss and we strategically pick out those that should be replaced immediately and have staff prepare the cost for that, and then go to council for approval.
Page motion, Nick second.
Okay, so can we be a little bit more specific? We're talking about 3 strategic trees, is that correct?
Well, I don't know, I mean, it could be more, right? It could be,
No,
I'm
we're
hearing.
gonna get
Well,
more trees, but,
Yeah, it depends. We're talking about like 5 and 8, and number 8, depending on what we go with, what we decide, it could be 2. Like, if we wanna go with more of those monkey puzzle trees, we might need 2 of those trees
Yeah.
to do the job. And we definitely need 2 full-size trees on number 5.
I think it's less, the recommendation is less about the count of trees and the location of where the trees would be. Because
Right.
I don't want to specify right now that it's 1 tree here and 2 trees here, you know, because we don't, Jordan's gonna know that best.
Yeah.
And staff needs to make that recommendation, so.
but I
And we
think-
don't know
I
what's
think the motion should-
available either.
I think the motion should have up to 3 substantially sized trees.
I don't think we should put a number
It
on
might
it,
Yeah, I
be
wouldn't
more
put a
than
number
three,
on
you
it.
see.
just
Yeah, it
location.
could be
and-
7 trees
Yeah.
that are medium-sized, it
I
could be
mean,
3
maybe
that
we-
are giant, you know, I don't
should
wanna
we- should we
lock
make
us
it-
in a box.
Council's
we
gonna
talk
wanna
about-
know the dollar amount, they don't
Which-
care about the number of trees.
Yeah, what staff is gonna go and do that analysis, right? We're gonna read,
Right.
we're gonna let
Yeah.
Jordan, and
So
then,
if the committee right now wants to specifically say which holes, based on safety and play of the course, are a priority, we can then disseminate that information to council with dollar amounts.
Well, number 5 for sure.
but up for this, protect the street there.
I
Number 8
would-
is important.
8 is important, and I would say from today, number 2 in the green. Yeah, that's left of the green, isn't it, on number 2?
Yes,
You write
yeah,
this down?
yeah.
I also think number 3 is important because T-box on 4 is in target for long hitters on the right side there, and the last thing we need is that, I mean, as many times I've been on that tee, it's rattled around in the trees
Yeah.
behind.
Which one was that? Ben?
3, number 3 in
I
the,
apologize.
yeah. So I think those are the 4 that stand out, I mean, those 4 locations. So
Mhm.
right side of 3, 5, 5th hole left side, 8th hole on the
Left.
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 Oh, number 2, right? You said number 2.
Yeah.
So 2, 3, 5, and 8. Is that right?
Is it number 3 that are in the right rough, then? Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of back, it's those 3 were all together, those 3,
Oh,
number
right.
3. So I would
In the
get
forest, near the forest.
There was
there
like
on the right
3
side.
big ones
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
50
yeah.
yard, 50 yards out on the
On
way.
the right,
On the
yes.
side of the car path.
Oh, right.
So,
'cause
so maybe we go with that, so then I'll adjust my motion to, ask staff to look at the cost for replacing the trees on 2, 3, 5, and 8,
Yeah,
and make a recommendation to city council to get the funding for those immediately.
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Yes?
Right.
Yes, yes. Unanimous? Okay, we went-
Anything else, Jordan, for your maintenance? Totally hijacked.
Yeah, that's basically it, we're just doing a lot of cleanup, irrigation breaks, we got, verification to look forward to, so we're gonna start looking at that. Yeah, we constructed a new tee box on number 12, I think that turned out well.
Yeah, nice.
And, yeah, we're planting some geraniums on
I
slopes,
saw that, yes.
so, yeah. It's a fun, that's a fun project. All my staff, they enjoy doing that, so.
Along the asphalt, yeah.
Where's the drainage?
Yeah, we just can't
Drainage
grow
on,
anything there, so the
Seventeen
geraniums seem to take
on the
off.
right,
We
as
planted
you're
them on
teeing off,
19,
On
they've
the
done
slope
well,
on the
so.
right, along the side of the car
Oh,
path,
okay, yeah.
or geraniums.
Right.
Yeah, where else did you put them, Jordan?
Number 3, by the yellow tee on the slope there.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
So, hopefully a year they'll fill in.
I know you have to hit a 9-iron out of them, not a wedge.
Don't damage the flowers.
Oh, gosh.
Samantha, you got anything to contribute as part of the staff?
No, other than, as I mentioned, we kicked off, our budget preparation season, so, we had our CIP meeting today. Happy to add these things into the conversation with finance moving forward. That's all I have.
Let's move on to item 6, items from committee members. Greens Subcommittee.
Dick, do you wanna go through this, or you want me to?
Sure, you go ahead.
Okay, well, we met with Jordan, Dick and I did, and we did our course tour on Tuesday, January 31st. Dick very nicely wrote up a beautiful tour report, as always. So obviously the focus for most of the tour is on the trees. It was fresh in our minds because they had just come down in the last week. And so we were obviously going through there. I know we've discussed quite a bit of that. We talked about, first off, the one that kind of stuck out was number 8. Obviously that tree protected those people on 7, as well as really, was a key member, part of the design of that hole. We talked about putting in a bunker there instead of some trees, potentially. But then when we thought a little bit more about it, the trees are better because they protect everybody and it's a quicker turnaround on that, so, more of a long-term remedy as well. We looked at number 3, again, over to the right, obviously Jordan's mentioned on that, there was quite a bit of damage with the piping there, as they got the roots ripped up, some of the water pipes there, so I don't know if you remember, there's a bit of water, so luckily it's dried out, and they're moving those trees away. And then we also really looked at holes 11 and 12, there was a couple of trees, or one in particular, that fell down in between, which worked as a good little blockage for people getting hooks on 11 into 12, and hooks on 12 back into 11. Same guy can catch you twice. Yeah, so bottom line, obviously, we talked about the budgeting. Tree budget was only about $45,000 for the whole year, and we needed about $20,000 to clean up, and then also new trees. Didn't want to eat into Jordan's tree budget for the whole year, so that he wasn't able to get the maintenance done that's needed, and so obviously that's why we're making a recommendation to go to the council for additional funds. Let's see. Talked about Rod's tree service as well, how they came out, they were great, so appreciate that. So then a couple other things. Hole number 1, that tee box, as we all know, is always a struggle. Takes so much wear and tear. Everybody uses it because everybody starts on one just about. So we have been obviously working, or Jordan has been working to make some of the tee boxes start to move towards Kikuya. It's a little more resilient according to Jordan, and that will be happening on that tee box here in the near future. So that will hopefully build up some strength and grow out more in the summer when Kikuya really takes hold. A couple other things, just for point of reference, Balboa Park lost 20 trees on their golf course or so. Talking about staffing, there are still 3 positions open we talked about. Currently, those are being filled by temps. Problem with temps is you don't really get full-time work out of them. Jordan thinks about 60-70% hours is what you get out of the temps versus somebody who's a full-time employee.
Yeah, we got a lot of, young guys, but you need to have almost 2 full-time jobs to make rent in San Clemente, so.
Yeah.
There's times like, hey, I gotta duck out, or we have students as well, so, we
Yeah.
have to kind of accommodate for what we can get.
So as much as the city can get through their salary structure reviews that they're doing at this time, then get those positions staffed by full-time people, I think it'll help Jordan's and the team, continue to do a great job and be even better. Funny that he said that there's soap dispensers are being stolen from the bathrooms, so we thought that was pretty good, and there's seemed to be disappearing. Along with the other vandalism, as we know, the maintenance shop was broken into, and lots of things were lost, like blowers, trimmers, etc. And I know the team is working on updating the alarms and re-fortifying that maintenance place there, so can't keep losing items like that. It's just it's a loss. There's just money, it gets something in there. Talked about need for new equipment. Obviously, those that get stolen, we got to replace. Want to make sure the building is really secure for that. And then, as always, the Greens electric bikes. Number 3 in particular has recently been, vandalized. I know we talked about this previously. What can we do? Police are trying to patrol more, but middle of course is obviously extremely difficult for them to do. So that's just a problem that I don't know if there's a real easy answer or any answer for it, to be honest. Also, some of the flags are disappearing. They threw some flags up in trees and stuff like that. And then also the rakes. If you go to a bunker and you notice there aren't rakes anywhere near you, don't get mad at Jordan and crew because people are snagging them and taking them home to rake their yards or something. I don't know. Unbelievable. But such is the life of a Muni golf course, right? And then, there's a note in here about the 16th tee box with the new tree growing in and maturing. That poor blue tee box is getting a lot of usage in just a very small area. Just takes a beating. Recently had to be closed for a while, and they moved everyone over to the white tees, which again makes the big hitters want to go more left anyways. So there's talk about taking about 4 to 5, 6 feet of what was that nice little native area and putting a little bit more grass over there just to allow the other side of the box to get a little bit of a break. So that's a project that could come up here in the near future, and we don't seem to be thinking that it's going to cause much of a difference for the homes on the lake. Anything, Dick, that I might have missed?
No.
Nice report.
Sounds good.
Actually, the golf course is in good shape. I forgot to put
Yeah,
that
that's,
in.
I mean, and, yeah, that was one of my things for later, but yeah, the greens are fantastic, Jordan. The fairways look great. I know we had a lot of fresh water, cold nights, and green, firms up the greens, they seem to mow better. That way, it's, you know, kudos to you and your team.
Yep.
Really is as good as I can remember.
Jordan, I
Thank you.
gotta ask, are you making the holes smaller? Oh, it must be.
I'll make it bigger.
It must be.
It's not smaller, make it bigger.
Yeah.
Good report. We got one from the House Committee?
I don't think we have much of a report. There are a couple of things that, first of all, the Pro Shop got 18 new carts today.
Oh, really?
Wow.
So I think all the white carts are gone.
Oh,
And so, well, I'm sure they're not new, I mean, they're reconditioned, the new ones, but they look great. They look great this morning, I almost wanted to take a photograph of them because they're not gonna look
Because-
good for very long.
blast.
Those are
Um,
the cards that Dave always gives me. All the white ones,
The only white
that's like
one.
the worst card.
I know, they are.
Price is okay.
I did ask Vinny this morning if there was any issues, and he had no issues. I know that with Wedgwood, we're trying to get a meeting with the new manager, there's a brand new manager
Finally
there.
heard from her today,
You did?
yes, success. Molly is her name.
Molly, yes.
I'm working to schedule a meeting for us next week or the following week.
Excellent.
I think we should follow the one in Florida next week.
Life of Nick. Jeez.
I'd like to be retired.
Anything else from you, Nick?
No, just that everything that we talked with Eddie about didn't seem to pan out. They're still short on staff over there. They promised us the snack bar would be open all the time. It was closed most of the day yesterday. Restaurant was closed during the men's club tournament. Yeah, a lot of stuff just didn't show up. So, I don't know.
Things we'll talk about with Molly.
Ongoing. I think they had one girl that started work and 2 days quit.
What are you guys doing to her?
Wasn't us. That was better.
We got a review from the golf course finance.
So you all got just kind of, just a high level view of our funds and so forth. I didn't get anything, Samantha, update or anything. I thought you were gonna give me something before the meeting.
So I can tell the committee, are you looking for, so we're, right now with revenue, we budget to bring in 2.9 million. Right now, we're at 1.88 million, so we're really right on target with our mid-year. We expect to certainly meet our anticipated budget and potentially go over with the increase in fees. And then expenditures, we are, let's see, still on target. We are asking for more money with, through our mid-year because of the tree damage. But there's nothing other out of the ordinary, based on what's in our budget and approved at this point.
Can I get a 6 month, do you have one as of December 31st or something like that?
Yeah, I can send it to the committee.
I have nothing for the last year and a half, except what you gave me last year that we met on.
Yes, so we met in December. I'll give you something that's up to date to today.
Okay, so basically, just so you know, we still owe $1.5 million on the clubhouse. And we're supposed to pay $135,000 of that back this year. It's on the budget. Just so you know, we pay the city about $373,000 for administration and salaries and so forth. Because some people ask me, what are we sending to the city? The rest of it, you can kind of see, revenues, budget. We still have $500,000 out of the golf capital improvement reserve to do the fencing on the west side of the driving range. I think we need trees more than we need the fencing, increase, to tell you the truth. So if there's a shortage of funds that the city doesn't want to spend, then I suggest we hold off on the fence another 6 months. and put the trees in. Okay, so,
Is that something we can do as a recommendation, Samantha? Is that something?
You can
we
always
suggest?
staff runs it, so we can make a recommendation. But as you can see from the three funds, there's a total of $5.6 million. So,
I just want to point out that the depreciation, there's a little bit of a difference. The depreciation fund is allocated, essentially. It's there because it's going to replace equipment and machinery and things like that. So it's not that we just have $5.6 million sitting somewhere. It's allocated to something. And I think it's important that the committee remember that whenever we purchase one thing, that doubles the price essentially, because we have to account for the replacement of that as well. So please keep that in mind when we're looking at the budget.
okay, so out of the $5.663 million that I totaled up to that was a year and a half ago. I think that's the numbers I got, although they weren't dated. I don't know what date they were. I assumed it was a year and a half ago. Then, how much of that is invested and how much are we getting back for an investment return? You know?
I'm not sure I'm following your questioning on it.
So there's $5 million less, whatever you want to say, there's at least $1 or $2 million at least, besides the depreciation fund, that's sitting there, there's investment. We get investment income. We have budgeted $30,000 in investment income this year. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I think I'll have to get back with you on what you're looking for.
Okay, so what I'm
specifically.
looking for is who's investing it and what are we getting for return on that investment? Today's interest rates, you can get 8 or 9%. Are we getting that?
I will follow up
It's a
with
big-
our
it's a big
financial
number.
services officer, because he manages our investments.
Yeah. Is that a valid question? No? No?
Yeah, he can probably explain it better than I can, because our financial services officer really manages our repayment of loans and the management of our investments. That is really his role.
Yeah.
And he's very attuned to the enterprise fund for golf.
Do we know what we're paying for interest on the loan for the building?
I don't believe we pay anything, because it was a loan from the general fund.
So we don't pay any-
That made it easy to kind of pay back.
Okay.
And I want to also note that we were significantly lower in our repayment of that loan. We didn't actually, so originally, when we built the clubhouse, we were making a $200,000 annual payment to that reloan. That really slowed down in 2015 or so, when the course was really hit hard and saw significantly lower revenues. And it actually was bumped all the way down to just $35,000 in repayment. So if you kind of put that in context, we hit a lot of years much lower than what we had originally allocated when we took out that loan. The intent was to always pay $200,000 every year until it was repaid. We didn't start paying over $100,000 until last year. So we went basically, about 5 or 6 years at that very low repayment amount. So that's why the loan is a little bit more substantial still and not quite lower than what we would expect it to be. But if the course keeps up pace with this, we'll kind of get back on track. And as Dick noted, we're looking to pay down $135,000 this year. We'll look to do the same next year. And really, our finance team, they monitor that very closely to make sure that the golf course isn't too out of line. We were in a deficit prior to fiscal year '20, and we were kind of, I think, under by about $100,000 or so. All of that information is on the city's website in the current budget book, and there's an outlook and a history to the golf budget.
Who's on the golf finance team?
That's staff, there's not a nominated team, it's Jordan and I, and we work with the financial services officer.
Who is that?
Jake Ron.
Jake
Ron,
Ron?
yes.
Okay, anybody have any other questions on the finance?
Thank you for doing this, both of you.
No, just comments from committee members. Any items you want to bring up, Dick, that you haven't?
I'm finished.
I mean,
I'm suffering, I'm in pain here. Just wanna go home and have a glass of wine.
Jordan, I think you're going to get your rough mower. It's already been allocated.
All right. What else can we have?
How's our deflection board coming on 17?
Oh, you're,
We called it, we said you were gonna ask.
It's coming.
Don't worry, next time.
You got anything, Dan?
Nothing else for me, we covered it all.
Nixter?
Thanks for the sand, Jordan.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed
Sand
the
and
bunker
bunker,
sand, yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well, we already talked about the restaurant. Actually, without the trees, the course is looking brighter and cleaner.
without the trees?
Without the roots and stuff like, yeah, you don't have that mess going on. Is there any way to cut all the roughs?
Got all the what?
All the roughs?
And any way you can hit it straighter?
Yeah.
Cut those.
It's not just me.
Cut the rough?
The whole course be
Rough?
fairway?
Yeah.
Oh, cut the rough.
I mean, Capilla does do really well at cut low, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, we could. Or we can just mow everything at 1 inch, compromise.
That would.
The fairways are at 1/2 inch, the rough's at 2 inches.
You don't make it too easy for us.
No.
The whole course at 1/2 inch would be pretty cool looking actually. The whole
Yeah.
thing would just.
Just like the Masters.
Yeah,
Augusta National's all one.
but it was,
One load.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Tiger ruined that for everybody.
All right, entertaining a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I.
We're out of here.